with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, Firework, Avalara, TGW, and Sezzle. Ranked in the top 10% of all podcasts globally, the Retail Fast Five is the podcast that we hope makes you feel a little smarter, but most importantly, a little happier each week too. Today is December 20th, 2023. I'm your host, Ann Mazinga.
And I'm Chris Walton.
And we are here once again to discuss the most important headlines from the past week that highlight how the physical, digital, and human elements of retail are coming together to shape the future. And Chris, I have to call out, speaking of the physical, digital, and human elements of retail, our listeners should check out your latest Forbes article that I can't believe it took you 2 years to write that, because it seems like we've been having these conversations for a long time. But tell us a little bit about that quick.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I put it out this morning. Yeah, fun. I was already talking about with the Forbes editing team about it actually, which is always fun when people, when you have to edit your work, after it's been produced. But hey, it's the nature of the beast, and happy to do it. And the editors are really great. So pretty much always take their recommendations. So, yeah, no, it was a look at real life. I tried to separate myself from the traditional pundit take at the end of the year where you just kind of pick whatever 5 trends you want to talk about. But I wanted to use real life examples to show where retail is headed. And so, yeah, quite honestly, it took about 2 years to put together the right mixture of real life examples, because you and I had to plot out which stores we thought we wanted to go and shoot videos of, where we had to coordinate the travel, and then they had to fit inside the framework of a logical exposition in the piece. And so, yeah, thanks for that. I put it out this morning. It's called I think it's called the 5 real. I had to change the title, so I'm not sure yet, but I think it's called the 5 real life trends that show where the future of retail is headed in 2024 and beyond. Because you got to hit the 2024.
I was going to say
year-end pieces, which I didn't hit initially.
Yeah, and Forbes doesn't like IRL in the headlines. Is that
no,
part
of
it?
Yeah, they didn't actually. They actually wanted me to. I fought to keep that in because I was like, no, this is a differentiating part of the piece because of I don't want it to just be 5 trends that are going to shape retail in 2024, because there's going to be 100 pieces written with that title. So, but yeah, so you should check it out.
It's great.
But Ann, this is our last show of the year too. We came off the awards show last year. This is our last Fast 5 podcast. Can you believe it?
I know. I can believe it. I feel like it's time for a break. And that's an important note for our listeners that we'll be off for the next 2 weeks. So you'll have to catch reruns. Go back and listen to your favorite episodes, or make sure you catch the retail awards that we recorded last week, because I think that's doing pretty well. People are listening to that one, Chris.
Yeah, and I checked the retail rankings by shows in Apple Podcasts today. We had 11 of the top 20 retail podcasts, pretty much because of our shorts, because of people wanting to listen to the awards that we handed out last week. Awesome. But we got some great feedback though, Ann, too, around the awards, what we missed, what we got right, what we got wrong. We always love talking about what we got wrong or what we might have missed. What was your big takeaways from the feedback we got?
Well, we got lots of audience comments, so thank you so much to all of you who submitted yours. But the ones that we have to call out, the winners, for me, it was Shop Talk's Ben Miller, who threw out Best New Partnership of the Year, being Aldi and Southeastern Grocers, because no one saw that coming. And I can't believe we missed that one, Chris, because that is a huge, huge headline that will really impact the grocery landscape for this year, I think. But what did you think? You pulled out a couple.
Yeah, 100%. That was like a mic drop one, actually, when he said it. I was like, yeah, I got it. That one. It should have at least been brought up by one of the 4 of us on the podcast. But, the other thing I'd salute Ben for was he also he kind of got our minds going on another award for next year, which is International Retailer of the Year, which is harder for us because, our coverage is predominantly focused on the US, but hey, we can broaden our lens too. And with the help of friends like Ben and others overseas, we can for sure potentially look at adding that category next year. So I thought that was a great ad from him too.
Yes. And the last one I would call out, which was very important, and I feel like we did kind of gloss over this one, and I'm so glad that listener Maya Page brought this to our attention. She suggested that we add an award for most sustainable retailer, which I think is a great idea. And I'm really hopeful that we start to see some movement in that area as we head into next year.
Yeah, I agree. I love the twist we could take on this next year too. Like the most sustainable headline of the year, you know, for retailers. Like let's give credit where credit is due. Like there's a lot of fun we could have riffing on that one. So that was a great call out as well. All right, Ann, look, before we get started,
Yes.
any big announcements again or any new content we want to highlight? I've got a few things, but you go first.
Yes, yes, of course. As everybody knows, we're all scrambling to get out this week before we take a break because when we come back, it's going to be time to get ready for NRF, which means that the Retail Orphan Initiative Super Saturday Analyst Day is also just a couple weeks away on Saturday, January 13th. And for every retailer listening who attends, 250 children will get clean water, education, or life skills just from you being there. It's 100% free for you. Please, retailers, go out, sign up to attend, and help top what was raised last year, $380,000 that will help over 325,000 children in 28 countries. And also, tech suppliers, we have not forgotten about you. Sponsorships for Retail ROI are still available for as low as $2,500. You can see the full agenda, including the keynote from Run DMC frontman Daryl McDaniels. So head over now to get sponsorship information. Most importantly, to register right now at retailroi.org. That's retailroi.org, Chris.
Awesome. I can't wait for that. Can't wait for NRF, and I'm super excited, super geeked up for it. The other thing I want to highlight too is we have 2 live events coming your way on LinkedIn in the first week of January, the week, well, not technically the first week, but the week following New Year's Day week.
Week of the 8th, week of
yeah,
January.
the week of the 8th. That's a good way to put it. And the week of the 8th. And there we got some killer guests. So we've got Ben Reich of Data Assembly, who, believe it or not, was one of our very first ever guests on our Spotlight Series podcast. He is an expert on pricing intelligence. And the one thing that I keep hearing, and I know, Ann, you do as well, through every conversation we're having is inflation. And so Ben's going to talk about how pricing tools can be used as a competitive differentiator to combat inflation here as we look and go into 2024. The other one, which is one I am super excited about as well, is we have Stop and Shop's CMO, and Stop and Shop's CMO coming on to talk to us about how they have approached implementing robots in all of their stores. Like their robot approach is very different than what we've seen from other retailers throughout the country, which we've highlighted on this show. It's Marty the robot. They've personalized it. They've given it big googly eyes. We're going to talk about how Marty the robot has become a key part of their store operations, but also a part of their communities. You're going to want to watch that interview because it's going to be really special.
Awesome. All right, Chris, let's get to the headlines.
All right, Ann, in today's Fast Five, we actually have 2 weeks of headlines to catch up on, Ann. 2 weeks, including Amazon Prime testing an additional $9.99 per month grocery delivery fee, Macy's buyout bid, Google's latest shopping features, which they've released just in time for the holidays, and a new CNBC report that casts doubt on Target's explanation for store closures related to theft, and that also raises questions about whether the company's announcement was designed in advance to promote its legislative agenda and obscure its poor financial performance. But we begin today with big news out of Walmart. Ann.
Yes, that's right, Chris. According to Chain Store Age, Walmart is extending its partnership with a BNPL platform, Affirm, to self-checkout kiosks at stores across the U.S. In fact, Walmart says that it will now accept buy now, pay later, or BNPL payments via Affirm at self-checkout kiosks at more than 4,500 U.S. stores, to be exact. Chris, what are your thoughts on this? This is pretty big, late-breaking news yesterday.
I think this story is massive. Like, wow, way to end the year with a bang, Walmart. Go Doug McMillon, Retail Person of the Year. Just want to call that one out again.
Oh, we're aware. We're aware.
That's getting some play on social media too, that headline. That award last week. But you know, the reason I think this is big, Ann, and it's funny because I've talked about it before on the show, but for those that are maybe newer, it's something that I predicted would happen back in 2017 when I wrote my very, very first article ever for Retail Dive. And I wrote it when Affirm and Walmart first linked up. So it's crazy that it took almost 6 years for something like this to happen. But, you know, given that the large majority of America are going to want to extend their payables in a physical retail store environment, I think that's a game changer. I can think of no better point of competitive differentiation than this idea. And it's right in the brand promise of Walmart: save money, live better. So right on, Walmart. You're 100% living up to the brand promise. My only question, which was hard to gather from the news headlines, and I'd love for anyone to
Yeah.
comment on this, is what categories can it be used on? It seemed like it was available to be used on toys and electronics, which toys kind of surprised me too to some degree. So the big question is whether it's available in groceries. But either way, I think, regardless if it's available in groceries or not, it's still a big, bold move. And I can
Yeah.
only tip my hat once again to Walmart for the one final time here in 2023. They've killed it this year.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. I mean, I think what you just said is pretty much a mic drop right there. I think the only other thing I'd elaborate on for this is really the customer side of things. I mean, I think when you look at what happened when EBT and SNAP became digital, like this just gives you as a human being, the majority of the country living paycheck to paycheck, to have the opportunity to check out and feel like everyone else. There's no like separate checkout they have to go to. There's no layaway line they have to wait in. Like, I just really think this is giving back some dignity and humanity to all of the people, especially who are shopping at Walmart, who depend on the low prices every day for this. And if a firm's data is accurate, which, you have to, again, look at like what a firm's agenda is here. But they said in their report that 76% of consumers have to delay or skip a purchase because buy now, pay later isn't offered. So I think that you get some additional brand love from those customers and potentially bigger baskets from them if they're able to kind of stretch that out and they're not in a situation where they have to, go through a layaway process. And why not put a plus on it while you're at it? Like, I also love that they're doing a free trial of Walmart Plus with this. I think that's really
Oh, I didn't
smart.
catch that part. That's cool too.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get if you spend over a certain amount, I think it's $300. You get 3 months of Walmart Plus included in that
Wow.
if you put a buy now, pay later, Affirm payment plan on it.
Wow, which is a great segue to our next headline. But and the going back to the grocery idea too, I'm like, if they bring it into groceries, like talk about a differentiator in the grocery space. Like, why wouldn't you
100%.
choose
Yeah.
to shop for your groceries at Walmart even more often than you do now? The other part I want to call out that it reminds me of is, remember when we had Paul Paradis on our on our podcast like a while ago, like 2 or 3 months ago, right?
Yeah, like of Sezzle. Yep.
Yeah, of Sezzle, yeah, and he was talking about he sees a day, or he envisions a day where in a store environment, the BNPL options like Sezzle, Affirm, Afterpay, Klarna, you name it, are going to be as ubiquitous as MasterCard and Visa as a payment option. And I think this is the first, shot across the bow of us potentially seeing that happen. So, all right, we teased it before. Headline number 2: Amazon Prime is testing a $9.99 per month unlimited grocery delivery subscription. According to The Verge, again, and not to be confused with The
Oh boy.
Verve.
No, not to be confused with the Verve. That's correct.
I'm going to run that joke into the ground. It's just going to be the
It's
thing I
already
do.
been run
I'm
into
going to
the
do
ground.
it
It's
every time.
underground.
From
It's
going
underground.
forward, I've decided we're going to do that every time there's a story from The Verge. For the additional monthly charge of $9.99, Prime members in 3 cities can get unlimited delivery on Amazon Fresh and Whole Foods orders over $35. Those 3 cities are Denver, Sacramento, and Columbus, Ohio. And the $9.99 subscription fee for grocery delivery is an additional charge on top of a standard Amazon Prime subscription, which, for those of you that may not know, costs $14.99 a month or $139 per year. And point blank, I'm going to ask you, do you like this test?
I don't know how in the hell this passed Amazon's, like,
Really, I feel the
I don't
same
even
way.
know that how this got into market, honestly. I think
Feel the
that's
same way.
another $120 a month or a
Mhm.
year. Like, it seems to me, if I'm going to spend another $120 on a membership, it's definitely not going to be on Whole Foods and Amazon grocery. Like, they don't have the products to warrant, like, they're the Amazon Fresh grocery. I've not been really satisfied with that. I don't think it's something that I'd go for. I'd much rather go for a Shipt or a Walmart Plus or a DoorDash membership for that amount of money and have tons of other options at my disposal. Restaurants, like, DoorDash has
Right. Great
Dick's
point.
Sporting Goods, Target,
Right.
CVS, like all these places. Why am I limiting
Returns.
myself? Yeah, returns, like all these other things that I think are so much more valuable as a platform or as a subscription than paying Amazon more money. Like, I'm just baffled by it. And I think another reason where, like, we have a interview coming up with Buncha CEO, Bharat Pulgam. And I think like just another case to be made again for like how we can get delivery for less money and like have all of these stores at our disposal. Like I just
Right.
don't understand it at all. But you are not keen on it, it sounds like, either.
No, I'm not. And you said I might drop the first one. I thought you might drop that one too. I mean, I think you're right. There's that, but there's 2 points I would emphasize as well. I think because I unequivocally hate this. I do. I hate it. I agree. It's a test that shouldn't have gotten off the ground, I think. And not all tests are good tests. We've talked about that on the show before. And I hate it for two reasons. Like one, I think it devalues Amazon Prime, which is something that I don't think has ever been said in human history. When have you ever said that Amazon
Yeah.
Prime is less valuable than it was before? And I think you have to say that with this. Go ahead.
Why do they have to do this? Like that was the thing that I couldn't understand. It was like, Amazon, why? Like I don't get why do you think they had to do it? Or why do you think they
Yeah.
even tested it?
I don't know. I think it's just, being totally, it seems like dollars and cents focused and looking at it at a, as an individual business unit or business unit idea. So I just don't get it, because in its history, Amazon Prime has always been, how do I get more value as a consumer? How does Amazon give more value to the consumer for $139 per year? More value, not less value, which is what you're doing when you're creating an upcharge. So I don't get it. The other point is just an extension of what you said, which is I think this is the greatest marketing vehicle in the history of the world for Walmart Plus.
Yeah.
Like, I was looking at the comparison yesterday. Free grocery delivery for $98 already, $98 versus whatever the Amazon Prime was. And you get Paramount Plus, you get Scan and Go, you also get gas discounts with this.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, if
And
this thing,
yeah, and you still have to spend $35, mind you, or it costs you more. So like there is still the threshold of a $35 minimum on these Amazon orders or Whole Foods orders on top of that too.
right. So if this were to go national as it's tested, it's the greatest advertising. It's the greatest advertisement for Walmart Plus that Walmart could ask for. So I have no idea what Amazon is doing here. My only hope would be that as they roll it out nationally, they just take the cost of Prime up again, like they have in the past. But I don't know that that's not simulated via this test. So it doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or
Yeah.
form.
Yeah, I want to interview the people who are in this pilot in Denver and Columbus and Sacramento and see what they really think. Okay, Chris, let's go on to headline number 3. I know you're going to love this one. An investor group has made a $5.8 billion offer to buy Macy's. According to the Wall Street Journal, Ark House Management, a real estate focused investing firm, and Brigade Capital Management, a global asset manager, on December 1st submitted a proposal to acquire the Macy's stock they don't already own for $21 a share. That represented a roughly 32% premium to where shares closed the day before the offer was made. The investor group, which believes Macy's is undervalued in the public markets, has indicated that it would be willing to raise its offer subject to due diligence, and an investment bank has provided a letter supporting the group's ability to raise the necessary financing to get a deal across the finish line. Chris,
Yeah.
Macy's,
Oh boy.
will it stay or will it go?
Yeah, I thought really long and hard over the course of the last 24 hours about what to say about this that, hasn't been said already or isn't pithy. And the reference point that kept coming back in my head, Anne, was Kohl's. I think it's important because if you look back last year, and I looked this up, according to the Wall Street Journal, same provider of the headline that we referenced today, last February, Kohl's had an offer on the table to be bought out for $8 billion. And Kohl's market cap as of yesterday was for $9 billion. I said that wrong. $9 billion, Ann.
Okay.
And so Kohl's market cap as of yesterday was 3.2 billion, because I remembered it was basically 3 times the current value.
Unbelievable.
So I think when you sit back and you look at it that way, you have to ask, and we've talked about how there's seemingly a growing dumpster fire brewing at Kohl's already. There's lots of people claiming that, you got to look out for that stock. And we are not financial advisors in any way, shape, or form, so do not take this as advice. But I think you're getting to the point, where you have to ask for yourself for Kohl's, and then we'll go back to Macy's. Like, Ann, do you honestly see a strategic path where Kohl's is worth 3 times what it is now?
I can't. I mean, not with any of the initiatives that are currently in play. Maybe Sephora, but then I think that you're really banking on that one retail pop-up that's going to save it, and I don't think that's enough.
Yeah, and yeah, 100% agree. And I don't quite frankly either. So and when I say that because I worry the same thing could be said about Macy's. And so as much as it tears on my heartstrings to lose great retailers like Sears in the past, I think honestly it may be the best move for the shareholders to just cash out now, especially if there's more money to be had like this on the table, as is alluded to in the article. The offer is intentionally low, and let natural selection run its course. I mean, nostalgia just doesn't work over the long term in business. It doesn't isn't enough to supply what needs to be supplied to keep a business going. And I think this is just getting the fact of it's just business now at this point, and that's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I think the Kohl's comparison is a really good one, Chris. I'm glad you brought that up. I think, the only thing that I would add here is that it seems like you're saying, like it or not, Macy's, you're probably more valuable as a real estate play. And I'd say the same thing is maybe true for Kohl's at this point. And I think one of the things that came to me as I was reading this story and thinking about the real estate angle too, is that there might be a lot of interest from the mall owners who have Macy's as an anchor tenant now, if this does start to get sold for real estate parts. Because, I mean, in several cities where Macy's is present, Macy's owns that box on a mall. And I think if you let Macy's become up for sale, and these mall owners across the country, of especially some of the failing malls, if they're able to take that asset on or sell that asset, and now they can do something different to serve their communities with that property, I think
Great point.
there could be a lot of interest there that some of these real estate investors who are trying to gain share of Macy's or take back Macy's are probably thinking about.
Yeah. The other point I bring up, if I was critical of our own points too, would be I think the sum of Macy's parts is greater than the whole too. I think if you took Bloomingdale's aside from Macy's, I think you could find some value there. We've talked about the Bloomies
Right.
idea and rolling that out nationally. I think there is some real growth potential there. So I think that's something you have to factor into this discussion, which is different than the Kohl's analogy that I drew up beforehand. So I think there's different ways to look at this, but I think you have to have the honest discussion with yourself as a shareholder to say like, do I need to take this offer seriously?
Right. Right. Absolutely.
All right, headline number 4. Google has launched more new shopping tools aimed at the holiday straggler. Again, according to Chain Store Age, and fresh off its new deals destination and discount code finder in early November, Google is now launching 3 more shopping tools as the season approaches its final days. First, shoppers can select the quote, get it by December 24 filter on search to see products they can get quickly. And once a customer taps the filter, they will see relevant products labeled with the retailer's cheapest on time delivery offering, as well as the price and any nearby stores that have them in stock. Second, they can now track packages directly in Gmail. And third, after a package has arrived, Google will include a link to that retailer's return guidelines at the top of shopping related emails in Gmail, on desktop, and on mobile in the US. And we haven't had it yet.
Oh
This
boy.
is this is the A&M put you on the spot question of the week. Question of the week, and here it is. These additions from Google seem like good examples of trying to address key consumer needs while providing stickiness for usage of their tools, assuming they're not pushing consumers to Zulily this week.
No, not gonna.
Parenthetically, what do you think of the year-round utility of these features for consumers beyond the hectic transparency needs of the holiday shopping crunch?
Well, A&M, I'm really glad that this is the question you picked, because I think this is one of the headlines that I'm most excited about
Yeah,
for
you fought for this for
all of
sure.
2024. Like, I cannot
Wow.
wait to see where this goes in 2024. Google has made the entire web shoppable finally. Like, I think if you look at where people were going when they knew exactly what they were looking for, I want this pair of boots in this size. You went to Amazon before. 49% of the time people were going to Amazon. I think now there is reason for people to go back to Google to do this search. One, because they've taken exceptional care to make sure that the most important details that for me as a consumer, one, am I getting the best price? And two, when and where and how can I get it on my own terms? And they're putting those front and center on these images And that's not just a holiday need, that's a need throughout the year. We've been discussing this since the pandemic came about and how retailers started putting that information on the front page when you do a search on their own sites. And now this is happening with Google. Now you throw in, I have returns and tracking information at the top of my email. I don't have to go digging through and searching this. I can even see returns on that first PDP display that they put out. I am loving this. This is by no means something that's just for the holidays.
Wow.
And I cannot wait to see where the Google shopping team continues to take this throughout the next year, because it's just the beginning. I mean, this has just started. There's still more work to be done, and I am ready and here for it in 2024.
Wow. All right. So you like this? That's the takeaway. You like this? That's how I should sum that up.
Little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I got to tell you, I like it too. I like it too.
Good. Have you seen some of these? Like, have you used it recently? It's really good.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really great idea. I think to answer the question that A&M posed at the top, I think it has staying power for sure. It's completely applicable outside the holidays, because the brilliance of the concept in and of itself on the whole, both this month and what they released last month, is it's grounded in real consumer behaviors. And by that, I mean what people are searching for.
Yes.
Which is what Google knows best, which is what I love about the pivot they seem to be making in commerce. They're focusing on the value added capabilities they could provide in terms of what consumers are searching for, versus like expecting to build a marketplace offering and then just people are going to come to it, right? Like, it's a very different approach that we're seeing here. And that's why I love it.
Yeah, that marketplace comment is spot on. Like, no, you don't need to be that. Like, be Google and be the best as you can be with Google. I think the only thing that they'll have to continue to refine again is the search results, because it is Google. Like, sometimes you can get, and you're searching the entire web versus like curated sellers like you are on Amazon. So, I mean, I think that will have to be something that they'll continue to refine, but they've got the talent and the resources to do it. So I think it's just a matter of time.
And the other point too, with generative AI now in the forefront of potentially changing the commerce interfaces out there, I think that's where Google's really smart of playing up what are people searching for, what questions are they asking for, and let's start pivoting in that direction to be disruptive. So yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah. All right, Chris, let's head to the last headline. Headline number 5, CNBC is questioning the validity of Target's recent claims around theft. Target blamed theft and violence when it closed 9 stores in 4 cities earlier this year. But a CNBC investigation reported that crime is worse at most of the locations that Target kept open near those stores. In some cases, Target chose to keep operating stores in busier areas that had better foot traffic or higher median incomes, even though the locations saw more theft and violence. CNBC's findings cast doubt on Target's explanation for the store closures and raise questions about whether the company's announcement was designed to advance its legislative agenda and obscure poor financial performance. Chris, pretty big deal. There's been rumblings of this for a while, but this CNBC story kind of cracked everything open. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I don't know. This one might go in the rant territory to end the year. I'm not really sure how this is going to play out for me, but I mean, big claims by CNBC, right, Ann? I mean, just big claims all around. Like, those are some pointed claims that they're saying right at the beginning of that article. And I also want to give them kudos for the very thorough reporting they did on this one. Everyone listening, you should go and check out this article, because, Ann, I don't know about you, but I was reading it and I'm like, when does this thing end? It's like more data, more data, more data, more data. And I was like, holy cow, they've really gone to the well here. So, and I remember when you mentioned it before, like, it's been brewing for a while. I remember when you and I were talking about it, and you asked me some questions about it. And I said at the time that I think what's going on here is really just, frankly, that the stores don't pencil regardless. Mm-hmm. And the majority of them, as referenced in the article, are small footprint Target stores. And given the traffic being sold, the items being sold, and the theft impact taken together, the math on them just doesn't work out. So to say that theft is the reason the stores are closing isn't wrong necessarily. It just isn't the full truth either.
It goes back to what you said last week. Well, I forget what the Departed quote is. Like,
Honesty is not synonymous with truth.
Yes. Honesty is
Yes.
not synonymous with truth. Yes.
That's exactly what's going on here. It's one factor, but likely a factor among many, which brings us again back to the disturbing pattern, which I was thinking about this. You can go really far back as into this year to see this pattern. You know, I would call out with self-checkout limits too. We're doing self-checkout limits too because we want to improve the line flow. Baloney, right? It just doesn't make sense. And so the big question for me is, in the face of all these aberrational results that Target is seeing, where is the growth coming from? That's the issue here, because you've remodeled your store base extensively over the last few years. The small stores, that idea was never going to move the needle on its own anyway. So what the heck is next? And so here's the rant part, Ann. I think I alluded to
we
this
haven't even gotten to the rant part.
No, we haven't. We haven't, Ann. I'm tempered.
Clock
I
is
think
ticking.
I know.
Let's go.
I think the board has to be asking now, is it time for Cornell to go? Because any more subterfuge that we hear in this regard, like remember the behind glass thing, like the subterfuge, like thanking customers for putting products behind glass. I mean, that's honestly an insult to everyone's collective intelligence. And it's only going to this story is only going to get worse from here on out, should they try to spin anything in this direction again. So I'm curious where this goes.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think it's just Target either. I mean, I think this gets back to why I picked Daphne Howland's story about NRF retracting that crime data as my headline of the year. I think it's gonna, especially as we go into next year, this is gonna really start to impact retailers and what the claims can be, what the reasons can be. Like, it's gonna force retailers to have to really dig into what is causing low sales, and Target in this case, especially, who's just been riding high for so long. I think there's a lot going on that's going to impact what that company looks like in 2024. And they're just going to have to face the music. You can't use this as an excuse.
Would you think it's fair to say, though, that even regardless of the points that have made about the industry, that Target has been the flag bearer of the headlines around pointing to theft as a big impact on their financials in 2023. I'm having trouble actually recalling others. I know there are some, but it feels like Target has been the standard bearer or the flag bearer on that topic, in my opinion. Do you agree?
I think that's a great point. I mean, I remember when Brian Cornell came out saying like $1 billion they're going to lose this year. And like, what company can go on and say we're going to lose $1 billion, and shareholders and the board are just like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it, right? Besides like close a couple stores. And like, I think there are big, important questions that I would be asking if I was sitting in the boardroom at Target right now, and big expectations that I have for them going forward.
Great point. Also in the face of aberrational sales performance too. Let's not forget that as well. So wow. Yeah it's going to be fun to watch. God, 2024 is going to be a great year.
Yes. All right, Chris. Well, let's close it up in the lightning round. Chris, former Real Housewives of New York, Bethany Frankel, announced she is advising on a recently launched shopping app called Yeasay. More importantly than Yeasay, who is your favorite Real Housewives current or alum cast member? Do you need some examples, or do you know?
No, I actually got one. I don't know that I got her first name right, but I'm pretty sure I got her last name right. So I think Teresa Giudice or Giudice, however you want to spell it.
Giudice,
my family says Giudice, because that's my mother's maiden name. So she's gonna be she's my
favorite.
The jail
time? Is it the jail time that does it for you, or no?
Not the most admirable of the featured actor. I guess you could call them actors or actresses on the show, but yes, but definitely the one that my family identifies with the most, given the last name. All right, Ann, someone did it. Believe it or not, a renowned chef concocted a Doritos nacho cheese flavored liqueur. You know how much I love Doritos, Ann. So my question for you is this something you would even try?
Oh my God, no. It makes me vomit in my mouth a little bit. It reminds me of like what the color of vomit. Like that reminds me of Doritos flavored liqueur. So no, it's not ever happening.
I agree. There's just some tastes you don't want to drink, right? There's
No.
some tastes you want to eat versus some tastes you want to drink. And this is not one. I 100% agree with you.
Oh my God, so gross. All right, Chris, question number 3. LVMH has said that they have met their key sustainability goals for 2023 ahead of schedule, including offering new circular services thanks to its repair and care task force. This now opens the brand up to many who aspire to own luxury products. Now that you might be able to afford one luxury product, Chris, what would you buy?
Oh, that one's simple, Ann. I'd love a new watch. I had quick story.
Hmm.
I had a nice tag watch that my family got when I graduated from college back in 1999. The whole family chipped in on it. They engraved it. They said, "Congratulations, we're proud of you" on the back, and it got stolen. And I've just been bummed out ever since that
Oh
day. And so
no.
yeah, so it's always
This
been
sounds
a
like a heist movie. Where did it get stolen
yeah,
from?
it got stolen right out of my house one day. And it was a long story, but yeah, it got stolen, and so I've been bummed out ever since. And so yeah, that would be my pick. And what about you?
I'd probably get a handbag. I'm
The
guessing.
handbag.
It's still on my list. Like I still look all the time and I'm like, can I spend that much on a
Yeah.
handbag? And I just remind myself that there's a reason I buy a new work bag every year,
Yep.
and that's why I don't have nice handbags.
That's the same why when my watch was stolen 10 years ago, I haven't gotten another one either. Yes, exactly right. All right, last one. Companies like Microsoft are working on storing, this is true, are working on storing data as actual strands of DNA. I guess the
What?
storage, yeah, it's crazy. Like the amount of storage you can get from turning data into DNA is nuts. It's like exponentially greater in terms of the space you can acquire to store your data. So my question for you, Ann, is if you could pick any song to store, any MP3 to store as DNA that is emblematic of you, any song, what song would it be?
So like, I'm sorry. Are they I don't even understand this. They're like putting DNA inside of
They
me?
code the data to actual like whatever the four cytosine, guanine, all that. They code the data according to certain DNA sequencing, and it enables you to store data. It's freaking fascinating. You should go and read it,
Oh
everyone.
my God. I don't even understand how this is possible, but now
Yeah,
I'm scared that we're going to be robots.
it's
That's like asking me to pick my favorite song
well, it's
ever.
DNA song. Like who are you as a song? Even though that's kind of
Okay.
an extreme extension of this question, but what song would you pick if you could
I don't
store
know that I
one in
can
DNA?
I don't know that I can say that this song perfectly it, it represents me, but I guess the first thing that came to mind is Brandy Carlisle's The Story. Just because it talks about lines across my face, you know.
All right, yeah, going recency factor, recency bias. All right, I love it. I love it.
Recency bias. I mean, that's a song from like the 1990s or
Oh, it
something.
is. Oh, I
Yes.
had no idea. I thought she was relatively new because you've been talking about her so
Oh
much. I
no.
had no idea. Oh my god.
No, she's been around for a long time. She's just now getting credit for the work that she's done for the last 20 plus years in the
And you
industry.
know the
But
only Carlisle I celebrate is Belinda Carlisle. You know that. Come on. Come on.
oh, this is not okay. This is not okay.
All right, let's close this up. Happy birthday today to Jonah Hill, Dick Wolf, and to one of the more underappreciated American Idol winners of all time, the winner of their own Battle of the Davids, like we had last week on our show, and David Cook. And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it OmniTalk, the only retail media outlet run by two former executives from a current top 10 US retailer. Our Fast Five podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news. And our twice weekly newsletter tells you the top 5 things you need to know each day and also features special content that is exclusive to us. And we do it all just for you. And we try really hard to make it fit within the preview pane of your inbox. Thanks as always for listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast or on YouTube. You can follow us today by simply going to youtube.com/OmniTalkRetail. So until next year, Ann, on
Yes,
behalf
next
of
year.
all of us at OmniTalk, be careful out there.
Thanks again to our OmniTalk Retail Fast Five sponsors for the year of 2023 that have brought to you this podcast, the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. The A&M Consumer and Retail Group is a management consulting firm that tackles the most complex challenges and advances its clients, people, and communities toward their maximum potential. CRG brings the experience, tools, and operator-like pragmatism to help retailers and consumer products companies be on the right side of disruption. And Firework. Firework is the largest video commerce solution built for the world's leading brands. They empower brands with shoppable and live stream video on their own websites where people like to shop. Put your commerce in motion with Firework. Find out more at firework.com. And Avalara. Avalara makes tax compliance faster, easier, more accurate, and more reliable for 30,000 plus businesses and government customers in over 90 countries. Avalara leverages 1,200 plus signed partner integrations to power tax calculations, document management, tax return filing, and tax content access. Visit avalara.com to improve your compliance journey. And TGW. Revolutionize your grocery supply chain with TGW. Their experts tailor automation solutions to your needs, ensuring you have the edge. Work with TGW before your competition does. Discover more at tgw-group.com. And Sezzle. Sezzle is an innovative buy now, pay later solution that allows shoppers to split purchases into 4 interest-free payments over 6 weeks. To learn more, visit Sezzle.com.